Hey Annies and Outies, this is FoxLogic, and I'm just making a video. I haven't posted in a little while on my YouTube channel. I've been pretty busy with some commissions and just taking a small break from retail and trying to get things finished, especially with my Patreon account. So I made a Patreon account, and which is pretty cool. It's a little bit of a daunting task, but yeah, I think it's going to be pretty neat. Um, I What I'm doing for my Patreon account is I've decided to make some tutorial videos on drawing. I definitely plan to get a little bit more into some of the nitty-gritty, like more advanced things for my higher paying Patreons. But if you want, for 10 bucks a month, I'll show you how I draw. Like slowing down the process and making sure you can actually see what exactly it is I'm doing and how I do it. So, yeah, it's there's been a lot going on. Today I'm actually struggling with my Dragonite mouse, which I'm so frustrated with Windows. Windows 10 has been nothing but like a bouquet of failure for me because I did a dummy thing and I was having trouble with one of my I don't even remember what it's called. It was like my display tray tasks or whatever. It was eating up my RAM when I every time I restarted my computer, and I was at the time I was playing Ark Survival Evolved, and I was kept on getting disconnected because my computer would be like, "That's it, I've had enough," and I'm like, "You have 16 gigabytes of RAM. How have you had enough? I don't understand what's going on." So I found that you could just turn this tray task off, and it doesn't really bug your computer very much. Except for when Windows does a mandatory update and doesn't tell you about it, and then you are just out of luck. So I had to completely do a factory reset on my computer, but everything's fine. I still have all of my artwork and I still have all of my devices and things, but unfortunately for me, the one driver that I couldn't find was for my mouse. And now my mouse is doing really weird things, and so I've contacted Dragonite or Red Dragon and I'm hopefully going to get the issue resolved. But until then, I have to be very creative with dealing with clicking things. Um, but whatever. I still have a lot of artwork to do, and my Wacom tablet's just doing just fine. So where my mouse fails, my Wacom tablet's like, I gotcha. You can sit down for a minute. So whatever. I do have a couple projects in the works. I contacted my cousin, and we are gonna work on sort of like I wanted to do kind of a moving comic, but that's gonna be a lot of work. But I'm very excited about it. I think that that's going to be a lot of fun, bringing back the old worlds that we used to create back in like middle school and high school. So we've done a lot of world building. Um, because I don't currently have a job, I'm just going to solely rely on my freelance artwork for now. First, had a lot going on, and then I had a couple people that were like, "Hey, sorry, I can't do it this month." And I'm like, ah, it's okay. I don't want to force people to do something that might put them in a hard spot. So that's fine. I mean, I'm not being mean about that. I'm just like, oh God, I gotta pay bills. So, yeah, it's been interesting. I just keep doing this. I kind of feel like if I just keep chugging along, it'll work. I can't lose faith. I can't lose momentum. I just gotta keep going. And it's tough. It's really tough. Especially since a lot of people who think that, because I sit at my computer a lot, I'm basically just playing video games. I don't even have video games installed. Like, after I had to do a factory reset on my computer, I had to get I actually found a whole bunch of other things wrong. I have an Alienware, okay? It's an Andromeda. It's like an A3 or something. So I this is the last time I purchase Alienware. maybe could do like sit down and do like a review. This, if you have Alienware for an extended amount of time, you're going to deal with this. Um, yeah, I'm just gonna make my own computer in the or in the future, just because this has been a big pain and I'm pretty tired of it. Um, but yeah, so it's been fun. Sorry, I'm suddenly focusing on what should I go? More saturated, less saturated, more saturated. I'll go more saturated. We'll see what happens. Uh, I don't like it. But yeah, I have a couple more video blogs I was gonna make. Um, that one of them kind of explains the difference between a a graphic designer and a digital artist, and then I kind of looked more into it and was like, actually, a graphic designer could still be considered a digital artist. It's kind of like, a square can actually be called a rectangle because it does have four sides, but a rectangle is not a square because it does not have four 90-degree angles. So it's kind of like one thing can be the other, but the other thing definitely cannot be the other one. And it's I wanted to go into kind of like the nuances on, what's the difference between somebody who makes web design to somebody who does art and animation. It's like they're two completely different things. And I've had so many people who were like, well, why don't you just do graphic design? That's where the money is. Like, okay, hold on, pause. If that's where the money is, then we wouldn't have professional artists. That wouldn't be a thing. But we do. We do have professional artists. So, you're a little wrong in what you just said. So, yeah, take that. uh, I'm gonna make it a little more red there. There we go. But yeah, it's just trucking along as a freelance artist is really kind of scary. I might, I actually probably will still get a part-time job just to help pay for the bills. So I'm kind of on the lookout for that. I have thought about maybe upping my game with video editing and seeing if maybe another YouTuber who's more successful than me could hire me on as a video editor. I have a degree for it. I've used a ton of video editing software. So, yeah, hire me. But yeah, it's been weird. Um I have a potential job at the mall that I was just working at, but I don't know if I want to work at the mall. I've kind of realized that the older I get, the less social I am. Um, I don't know if anybody else has felt that way. I just feel like I don't really have very much capacity uh to deal with like Karens all day long. Like it's not really it stresses me out. Like if most if most of these Karens could just learn to read, then maybe there wouldn't be so many Karens. Reading comprehension and stuff. But yeah, so that's basically what I've been doing. It's I want to get more stuff out. Like I really do, and I feel kind of bad for the supporters of my channel. All 757 of you guys. I'm trying to get as much stuff out as I can so that way you guys can enjoy it and we can make a community and I can get more subscribers and then maybe I can get monetized and not have to go to work. It would be my job. That'd be neat. I work happy every day. But no, it's a lot tougher, especially since I'm not really doing anything super exciting. I'm drawing and drawing's honestly very boring sometimes. And I'm being so finicky about it. So I don't know. Um, let's see. I have a commission right now where I am drawing a tattoo for a friend's husband, which has been kind of interesting. It's a fun tattoo. I typically don't really do tattoo work just because I'm not a tattoo artist and I don't like I don't really draw with the appropriate style that could be tattooed. I mean, maybe my line work for sure, but definitely not my coloring because it's digital and tattoos. I've spoken with tattoo artists and they're like, "Well, it has to be transferred well onto skin and skin has its own properties." And so I get that, I typically that's why I don't take many tattoo commissions. They'll draw my tattoo for me. You should contact your tattoo artist and have that tattoo artist do the artwork. That would be the better thing to do. And they're like, "No, I really want you to draw it." All right, well, I for certain people I don't mind drawing it for. I definitely with this one I asked, I'm like, "Is your tattoo artist okay with this? Like I just want to make sure I'm not ticking anybody off." And he was like, "Oh yeah, they're very chill." And they sounded pretty chill, so I took their word for it and agreed to it because I want to help a friend out, and it'd be cool to have a piece of artwork that's tattooed on his skin that I made. But I also am kind of making it so that way if the tattoo artist wants to change anything, so that way, if they run into trouble, like, I was told by tattoo artists, lines that are close together are really difficult because over time the tattoo ages and the lines will tend to blur and the colors will blur. And so I'm not even doing colors, I'm just doing line work and I'm doing like really, really precise lines. Like I don't want to just do a whole bunch of like crosshatch or something, just like kind of my usual line work where everything's very kind of cut and clear. And I hope that works out. I hope that you know, he still might be the kind of tattoo artist that's like, all right, I'm doing this because it's my friend, but it really ticks me off. It's like, and I get that. I don't think he's like that, but I just want to make sure I have all of my bases covered. Um, but yeah, I used to be part of a Pokemon Go Discord group for like local Pokemon Go people. And like in the event of Major Gym popped up, I'd go there and hang out with everybody. And I had somebody that had, asked me what I do for a living, and I was like, well, I do retail, but I'm actually a freelance artist and a YouTuber. They're like, really? So I gave him my my art site, my what am I talking about? My art station. Uh, and he was like, wow, you should totally draw. He wanted a series of Star Wars helmets. And I, as a huge Star Wars fan, was like, that sounds rad, but you should talk to an actual tattoo artist. I don't think that it would be appropriate for me to do that for you. And he was like, why not? And I was like, because the tattoo artist is going to do like the drawing. You're going to pay him to do the tattoo. He should be the one that draws it. So I had to like sit and really explain to this guy kind of how that works. And he was a little disappointed, but I kind of felt like I did the right thing. Like, I'm not so starving that, like, I'm just going to take somebody's money and not give them proper advice, like, that's not right. I don't think I could live with myself if I did that. It's what made me a really horrible real estate agent. Because if somebody didn't want a house, I did not hold their feet to the fire. I was like, that's okay. You don't have to buy this house if you don't want. So, yeah, I can be caring. I just don't want to be the person that's in the wrong. Like, if I do something wrong, I'll do my best to stand up for it and be like, yeah, you're right, it's my fault, I'm sorry. Like, but if I have a way to like just totally avoid that kind of situations, that way I don't make a wrong decision. Like, I'm not an expert at tattooing, so I'm not going to, you know, do a tattoo piece for somebody when I'm not even the tattoo artist, or in real estate if like say that the foundation's crumbling and it's like I can't withhold telling my client that, but I could definitely be like, you're still getting a great deal. I still think you should get this house, and I could just pressure them and pressure them into like going against their gut and buying the house anyway, and then they're stuck with a house with a crumbling foundation, and they're like, all right, well, that Fox person was touche salesman all over the place. Like, I don't think I could live with myself if I was like that. But then I don't get paid, so it's a tough world out there. That looks so much better. Um, yeah, I just really planned for this video to just ramble on as I show as I show you my coloring in of my Patreon art piece. That is what I'm looking for. All right. I need a color from my own sheet. Give me this color. See, I don't know if you noticed that. I was no, now it's oh, see there it goes. See that double click right there? That's what my mouse is doing. It likes stuff so much that it'll just click it twice, and it's irritating me. And it has to do with its drivers. And oh, another thing that's really fun, speaking of drivers not working and such. So, I looked into it. I tried to go to my apps and like forcefully see if I could install. I think that the driver software is on the mouse because I don't remember ever having a disk to install software from my mouse. I think I just like plugged it in and it was like, "Would you like to download the driver?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do. Go ahead." And yeah, so normally you go to your apps and software from your settings menu, and you can add or remove programs from there. Well, as soon as I open up my apps, it freezes. Just that window. Like I can close the window so it's not completely frozen. And so I looked into it, and guess what? This is actually a known issue that is happening to people that have Windows 10, especially if you have a 64-bit or 64 um, system. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what I'm talking about. But 64 Windows, you got it. That makes sense to you. Be prepared because you might have trouble accessing your apps, and Windows does note about it, and they haven't done any drivers or updates or anything since the last major update, and it's been frozen since the last major update. So they're just like, well, if you need to get into your apps and settings, you're gonna have to go to it through safe mode, and I don't really feel like shutting my computer off to get into safe mode. That irritates me. So I'm just going I'm just gonna suffer. I'll just suffer quietly and avoid using my mouse as much. But yeah. Filling in antlers. I think I made the base of this antler too small, so we'll just kind of do that. Maybe that'll make up for it. No, that does not make up for it. We'll do this. We'll grab this color. I like to grab colors from like intersections in line work because I feel like that's going to be a little darker. And we'll just make that a little bit bigger. Here we go. And I'll actually like make that its own thing so that way it's separate from the deer's noggin. Where is it? I forgot it. I didn't I didn't label any of this. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants. I need the actual like there we go. But yeah, if you like how I draw and like how I talk, then and you've got $10 you can spare a month, then yeah, I'll show you how to draw. I'll go ahead and put the link at the end of the video and hopefully figure out how to do those And yeah, you can follow it, check it out if you want. I'm also posting not only just like tutorial videos, but if I'm working on a project that has to do with characters, now this is specifically for my artistic furry friends that follow me. Um, I put blank poses up of characters that I'm working on, and if anybody wants to fill in their own blank pose and have their own like character that I've drawn, then by all means, if you're supporting me on Patreon, you can just have a character. You can go ahead and color in that pose however you want. So, just because I'm constantly creating things and I'm not really too partial about many of my designs, except for like this is an old character, but she's just a fox. Up here is an old species that I made. I would consider that a closed species, but I don't really draw them that often. I used to draw them all the time, but now not anymore as much. I should get back into it. That way I can play with my cousin a little bit more in world building. I do plan to do that actually for our comic, our plan with the comics. I think that's too saturated. Needs to be darker. There we go. So I'm just doing base colors right now. It looks kind of weird just because there's no shading or markings or anything. I'm just putting down a flat color that it's basically going to be used as a layer mask. Because then I could just, like, if I want, I can just grab this whole deer and just, there you go. See, the whole thing's all lit up. And I can now do whatever I want with it. Oops. I can pull up a Google. Bye, Google. I talk with my hands. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. I'll put up the link here for Patreon, and yeah, thanks so much for putting up with my nonsense. Goodbye.